Hello everyone, welcome to back my channel. I hope everyone is having a wonderful day. Before starting the video, please go ahead and hit the subscribe button and give this video a thumbs up. Soap operas thrive on drama, flawed characters, and the ever-shifting lines between love, betrayal, and redemption. For decades, The Young and the Restless has delivered exactly that, introducing iconic characters whose messy journeys have captivated audiences. Among them, Billy Abbott has long been a fan favorite and frustration all rolled into one. Handsome, charming, reckless, and impulsive, Billy is the poster child for self-destruction. But now, after years of circling the same chaotic cycle, many fans are left asking, isn't it time for Billy to grow up? This article takes a long, hard look at Billy's character, his storied history, the flaws that keep dragging him back into the abyss, and what a true character overhaul might look like. Because while his Trainwreck ways have provided endless entertainment, the time feels right for The Young and the Restless to push him beyond his demons and finally deliver the growth he desperately needs. Who is Billy Abbott? The charm and the chaos. Billy Abbott is one of those characters who defies simple definition. At his core, he's the black sheep of the powerful Abbott family, always struggling under the weight of expectation while desperately trying to carve out his own identity. He's not the dependable son like Jack, nor the ruthless schemer like some of his corporate rivals. Instead, Billy is both a dreamer and a destroyer, capable of winning hearts one moment and wrecking lives the next. What makes Billy so compelling is that he's never purely villainous. Unlike characters such as Victor Newman, whose dark ambition drives entire storylines, Billy's self-destructive nature stems from wounds, insecurities, and his tendency to numb pain with reckless behavior. Whether it's gambling away his future, cheating on the women who love him, or lashing out at his family, Billy almost always manages to justify his actions in his own mind, even if no one else buys it. Audiences have sympathized with him, hated him, rooted for him, and shouted at their screens because of him. But after decades of watching him spiral and repeat the same mistakes, viewers are beginning to crave something new. Billy's greatest hits of self-sabotage. To understand why Billy desperately needs an overhaul, it's worth revisiting some of his most infamous Trainwreck moments. These aren't just blips in his story. They've become the hallmarks of his character. 1. The gambling addiction that won't die. Billy's gambling problem is perhaps his most consistent storyline. Over and over again, we've seen him sit at the poker table, betting not just money, but also relationships and reputations. His inability to walk away from the table has cost him jobs, trust, and even custody battles. Fans often joke that Billy's poker addiction is as eternal as Victor's schemes, always waiting in the wings to resurface. To the endless romantic wreckage, Billy's love life is one of his greatest sources of drama. From Victoria Newman to Phyllis Summers, his relationships follow a predictable pattern: whirlwind romance, betrayal, and spectacular collapse. His inability to stay faithful or resist temptation has turned him into Genoa City's most unreliable lover. Every time fans think he's finally matured enough to settle down, he sabotages himself with infidelity or dishonesty. The Delia tragedy fallout. Perhaps the most defining moment of Billy's life was the death of his daughter, Delia. The tragedy sent him into a tailspin of guilt, anger, and self-destruction that has defined years of storytelling. While the grief was a powerful and moving storyline, it has often felt like Billy is frozen in that moment, unable to truly heal or grow from it. Writers continually circle back to his pain, but rarely give him meaningful progress. Corporate chaos and career instability. Billy has bounced from job to job, company to company, never quite managing to prove himself. While his intelligence and creativity are undeniable, his recklessness, poor decision-making, and impulsive betrayals constantly undermine his success. Whether he's clashing with Jack at Jabbo or making enemies at Chancellor Winters, Billy always finds a way to sabotage his own potential. The self-pity spiral. Billy's most exhausting trait is his tendency to wallow in self-pity. He knows he's a mess, but instead of truly confronting his flaws, he often deflects blame onto others or drowns himself in vices. This lack of accountability keeps him stuck, leaving fans frustrated by his inability to break free from the cycle. Why Billy's story feels stuck. Billy's repeated patterns aren't just frustrating for viewers, they're also limiting for the show itself. Soap operas thrive on evolution, where characters grow, regress, and reinvent themselves over time. But Billy has been treading water for years, reliving the same storylines with only minor variations. The problem isn't that Billy is flawed. His flaws are what make him compelling. The issue is that he's not learning from them. Every relapse, affair, or reckless decision feels less like a twist and more like a rerun. Longtime fans feel deja vu every time Billy sits down at a poker table or sneaks around with another woman. This creative stagnation raises the question, what's the point of keeping Billy in this cycle if he's never going to grow? Characters like Victor Newman remain iconic because their flaws evolve with the times. But Billy feels frozen in place, a perpetual man-child refusing to face adulthood. What growth could look like? So, what would a true character overhaul for Billy look like? It's not about erasing his flaws or turning him into a perfect golden boy that would rob him of his charm. Instead, the goal should be evolution, pushing Billy to confront his demons and grow into a man who can balance vulnerability with strength. Here are some directions the writers could take. 1. Confront the root of his addictions. Instead of repeatedly showing Billy relapse into gambling without meaningful resolution, give him a deeper, more sustained storyline around recovery. Explore therapy, support groups, and the underlying insecurities that fuel his addiction. Allow him to stumble, but also let him prove he can choose growth. 2. Mature romantic relationships. It's time to break the cycle of infidelity. Imagine a storyline where Billy actively works on communication and fidelity in a long-term relationship. Let him prove that he can be a stable partner, not just a charming heartbreaker. Fans would be far more invested in watching him struggle toward maturity than watching him sabotage yet another romance. 3. Fatherhood as a catalyst. Billy's children could be his biggest motivation for growth, instead of being a source of guilt or excuses. Let fatherhood push him to become more responsible. Imagine storylines where his kids hold him accountable or inspire him to make healthier choices. 4. Redefining his career path. Billy is clearly intelligent and creative, but his professional life has always been overshadowed by impulsive choices. A fresh career arc, something outside the usual corporate drama, could give him purpose. Perhaps he could launch a foundation in Delia's honor, or find fulfillment in mentoring younger characters. Breaking free from the victim mentality, Billy needs to take ownership of his mistakes. Instead of deflecting blame, a powerful storyline could show him confronting the damage he's caused and actively seeking redemption. This would resonate deeply with fans who have watched him run from accountability for years. Why an overhaul matters for the young and the restless. Reinventing Billy isn't just about improving one character. It's about strengthening the show as a whole. The Young and the Restless thrives on legacy characters like the Abbotts. But for the family to remain compelling, its members must evolve. Jack Abbott has shifted from playboy to patriarch. Ashley has oscillated between brilliance and instability. Even Victor Newman, despite his eternal scheming, has shown different shades of vulnerability and aging. Billy, by contrast, has remained stuck in his boyish chaos. An overhaul would open the door to new storytelling opportunities, fresh rivalries, mature love stories, and meaningful redemption arcs. It would also resonate with viewers who crave hope and growth in their favorite characters. After all, soap operas aren't just about drama, they're about transformation, fan reactions, and frustrations. If you scroll through online forums or social media, it's clear that fans are divided on Billy. Some love him as the charming rogue who always finds trouble, while others are exhausted by his predictability. Common fan complaints include, he never learns anything. It's like watching the same storyline every few years. Billy should be a leading man, but the writers keep making him a clown. How many times do we have to sit through the gambling story? Enough already. I want to root for him, but he makes it impossible. At the same time, many viewers still see potential in Billy. They want him to grow, not to become boring, but to finally live up to the intelligence and heart he clearly possesses. The desire for his redemption remains strong, which makes a character overhaul both timely and necessary. The Trainwreck archetype in soap operas. Billy isn't the only soap character trapped in the Trainwreck role. Soap operas often rely on flawed anti-heroes who stir the pot, break hearts, and self-destruct in spectacular fashion. Characters like General Hospital Sonny Corinthos or Days of Our Lives Sami Brady have played similar roles. The difference is that those characters, for all their chaos, have also shown meaningful growth and evolution. Sonny has gone from mob enforcer to family patriarch. Sami has matured from scheming teen to fiercely protective mother. Their flaws remain, but their stories progress. Billy, on the other hand, feels trapped in perpetual adolescence. His charm and flaws make him a classic train wreck, but without evolution, he risks becoming irrelevant. Imagining the overhaul. Possible storylines. To truly overhaul Billy's character, the Young and the Restless could pursue bold, fresh storylines that balance his flaws with growth. Here are some possibilities. 1. Redemption through mentorship. Billy could take a younger Genoa City character under his wing, perhaps someone struggling with addiction or identity issues. Guiding another person could force Billy to confront his own demons while showing a more responsible side. 2. Launching Delia's foundation, turning his grief into action. Billy could create a foundation in Delia's memory to help children in need. This would give him a noble purpose and allow for emotional storylines centered around healing. 3. A mature romance with long-term stakes. Instead of another fling or affair, give Billy a relationship that tests his growth. Imagine him with someone who challenges him intellectually and emotionally, forcing him to face his flaws instead of running from them. 4. Facing a true consequence. Billy often escapes the full weight of his mistakes. A powerful storyline could involve him facing a legal or personal consequence that forces him to grow. Instead of spiraling, he could rise to the occasion and prove he can handle accountability. 5. A rivalry that forces growth. Instead of clashing with Jack or Victor in the same old ways, Billy could face a new rival who exposes his weaknesses and challenges him to evolve. Rivalries often define soap characters, and a fresh one could spark new life in Billy's arc. The risk of keeping him a train wreck. If the writers choose to keep Billy on his current path, the risks are clear. Viewers may lose interest, tuning out of storylines that feel recycled. The Abbott family's legacy could weaken if Billy continues to drag it down with immature antics. And worse, Billy could become a caricature, a character defined solely by self-destruction, with no depth left to explore. Soap operas survive by balancing tradition with reinvention. Without reinvention, even the most beloved characters can grow stale. For Billy, reinvention isn't just desirable, it's essential. Time to grow up. Billy Abbott will always be flawed. That's part of his DNA. But flaws don't have to mean stagnation. For the young and the restless to keep Billy relevant and compelling,